Hi, Travis.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you?
I'm great. Yourself?
I'm great. It's Bigfoot time. I'm so excited.
I am literally so excited as well. I love Bigfoot.
We've been waiting for these episodes for 2 months since we recorded them.
Yeah.
Actually, technically since like August when I was introduced to these lovely, lovely ladies.
Right.
So, if you remember from last week, that we're going to be premiering 2 episodes about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or the Yeti or whatever you want to call them. This first week, we're just going to do a little introduction into who Bigfoot is, kind of what the mythology behind him or her, some of the science and the kind of craze around Bigfoot hunters, I guess you can call them. And then next week is our interview that we did with the SasquatchHERS.
Nice. How exciting.
They are exciting. Let me tell you what. I had the opportunity to meet them at Bigfoot Days. Now, this is going to sound extremely nerdy, but where our cabin is, which is Reamer, Minnesota, is considered to be the home of Bigfoot. The city gave itself that name. It's a self-titled thing. But because it's...
What? I thought it was voted on.
It was not, because I've seen in my research several other cities that call themselves the home of Bigfoot. But Reamer, Minnesota, in the past couple years has now started hosting something called Bigfoot Days, where they invite researchers and kind of have... It's not very big. I was trying to think of all the things they have. It's not very big. It's a couple researchers, a couple guest speakers.
Probably brings like
Discovery
500 to 1,000 people into town.
Yeah. They have like a 5K, things like that. A couple years ago, the Discovery Channel was out and did some reporting on the area. I think they even held the first Bigfoot-themed wedding.
I think it all started when someone had like a trail camera or deer camera and they supposedly seen a Bigfoot.
I think it was back in 2007 that a trail cam not far from where our cabin is located.
It was further than that. It was more like 2012, I think.
Was it?
It doesn't matter the time frame, but... Yeah, someone's seen what they thought was a Bigfoot and they sent it in and it was proven that it's not a human, just like the other ones.
Right.
And
the Star Tribune ran a story on it and a university did some research on the photo and determined that the gait was too large to be replicated by a man, plus the arm swings and the shoulder length.
All the same stuff that like the Discovery Channel shows on all those videos.
Research, but we won't get too far into that. So that story leaking kind of brought about Bigfoot Days and Reamer being called that. I've enjoyed Bigfoot Days. I think it's fun. I think it's a neat little event and people with the same kind of interests or beliefs kind of gather around and you get to meet some pretty interesting people.
So who'd you meet there then?
I got to meet the SasquatchHERS. So they're the SasquatchHERS, not the Squatchers. So it's SQUATHHERS. So it's a play on the female SasquatchHERS group. Isn't that cute? I think that's really
pretty
cute.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a Minnesota woman-led cryptid research team with a primary focus on the cryptid known as Bigfoot. Squatchers is the only team of its kind and was founded in late 2015. The majority of our team members are also active paranormal investigators and have years of experience in the paranormal field, making us well-versed in the investigative technique. Critical thinking with a healthy dose of skepticism are always employed as we search for the absolute proof of Bigfoot, as we utilize the investigative skills we have learned over the years of paranormal investigation. We believe that women will be the first to successfully make contact and interact with Bigfoot. Why? There are a few reasons. First, among them is that women are naturally less aggressive and are more nurturing, gentler, and kinder than men. We think Bigfoot may find us non-threatening and may be more apt to come forward in our presence out of curiosity. When we are searching for Bigfoot, we are women in the woods searching for Sasquatch. Our research encompasses all cryptids. Our mission is to discover Bigfoot and/or concrete, undeniable evidence to support the existence of this elusive creature, and nothing else will do. Come along with us on our journey to discover Sasquatch. It is nothing short of amazing. And that's from their Facebook page. And you can find them on Facebook at just SasquatchHERS. So I met them.
Sounds to me like, if I was to guess without even knowing anything, they all have a deep love for Sasquatch.
Yes, they do. And
maybe even a lust.
a lust for Bigfoot. So when I met them, they were immediately really warm and inviting, and they had their booth up with a lot of their photos of their different. They didn't have. I don't think they would call themselves hunters because it was pretty clear meeting with them. They don't believe in the term of hunting Bigfoot. They're a research team, so they had photos of their different findings, and they were discussing to anyone who wanted to talk to them what they find and what they believe. So their group is pretty large, but the 3 women who came to interview with me and Jessica were Stephanie Langer, which is their kind of, I think, leader, is safe to call her, Katie Sonmore, and then Cindy Theringer, which I really hope I'm saying that right, or Theringer. But yeah, when I asked them, I said, we have this podcast and we do What the Fuck Wednesdays, and I'm really fascinated by Bigfoot. I personally believe in Bigfoot. I would love to have you guys on. And they were just on board immediately, which was really, really fun and refreshing and exciting. So we got to meet with them in September, and we've been holding on to this episode because we had other subjects to get to beforehand. But now the time is finally here, and I can't wait to share that episode.
That sounds exciting.
It is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. They were really, really fun and interesting. And I think, when we dive into this, you kind of think people who believe in this are maybe a little bit kooky or crazy, but these are just really normal, level-headed, intelligent people who just are more open to seeing things from a different light or a different angle, or they're more open to the unknown. You didn't get to be there for the interview. Were you jealous?
Yeah, I was. You didn't invite me. I felt heartbroken.
You weren't invited, no.
I would have loved it.
This was a woman. Well, first of all, you had to watch the kids. Can't take them with.
Well, the house can watch the kids. Just lock all the doors.
We have a smart house. The crazy lady comes out. Remember that movie, Smart House?
That's not what it was called, but yeah.
What was it called?
Disney Channel.
It was called The Smart House. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Google it. I'm pretty sure that was called The Smart House.
We'll discuss this later, but I know what you're talking about. It was a Disney Channel movie.
I wanted that house so bad.
Yeah, but then she was evil.
She
and
was
then
evil.
You didn't want that house.
It's true.
Because all AI is evil.
You know that lady actually was the mom in Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
That sounds right.
Do you see how we get off subject here? It's really...
That's your fault.
It is my fault. So, next week we're going to be airing the...
It was called Smart House.
Oh, thank
1999.
Fuck you. 1999? Really? Jesus.
So most of our listeners probably don't even know what 1999 is.
Damn. You old bitch. So next week we're going to air that full interview, and it's really interesting, and I encourage anyone to listen to it, even if you are not a believer. They're just really fascinating people, and they were hilarious, and they were a great time, and I really want to have them back. You'll hear in the episode as to why, but we're going to have them back again. So today, we're just going to give, we wanted just to give an introduction to what it's going to be, and I thought, because we don't really dive into exactly the mythology or the history of Bigfoot and who he or she is, or where it came from, I thought we'd get into a little bit of that today. Just like a nibble. Like
a nibble?
Appetizer. Because I don't want to talk about everything that we talk about next week. So, Travis, what do you know of Bigfoot?
Well, I know we've talked about this before. It's my brother.
It's your brother. Your hairy-chested brother.
Bigfoot,
People don't know what you
see.
look like. You are generally like a little bit of a hairy man. But like in a sexy Tom Selleck
excuse
way.
me. Shaved.
You're shaved right now. What is that, stepbrother? No, the other guys.
The other
He's
guys.
like, you may not know looking at my beard, but shaved. Yes. Travis is skinny now, isn't it wonderful? Now he shaves his chest.
But anyway, what do I know about Bigfoot or Sasquatch? I know he's an interesting character. I know that no one's technically proven him alive, even though there's videos or different evidence that shows that, but no one can actually prove with physical evidence. So I guess I know all the...
No one's proved, like, you mean like physical, like has a body, or like captured them.
Yeah, like a skeleton or fecal matter, or any of that. DNA.
Oh, I don't know. There's some DNA in this.
There could be DNA in this. But I've never, or if someone, I guess most people don't believe it because they can't prove it's real.
Right.
Now, if it just showed up every day and there was one in every town tomorrow, people would be like, holy shit, I knew it was
right.
true.
Right.
But
what is it? Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
exactly.
Same as cells, things like that.
Sure.
So, let's get into it. For people who are completely clueless and have no idea, which if you live in Minnesota, you absolutely know most of this.
Where are most of your viewers from?
We have a few German. Guten Tag. No, that's not German.
I was about to say the one saying that I know, but I'm pretty sure it's offensive, so I just won't
Let's keep
say.
your fucking mouth shut for that, huh? Why don't you bottle that shit up, Helen? Alright, Bigfoot or Sasquatch. You know what? I think I'm going to refer to him as Sasquatch because...
Is Yeti the same?
Yeah, they're all the same.
The abominable snowman?
They're one and the same.
Dang.
Well, if you... And they'll talk
One
about
just
this in their
bleaches his
episode.
hair?
No, different areas, different climates would cause their fur to be this different colors. Like you have a brown bear, black bear, grizzly bear, polar bear. They're all bears.
Sure.
Sasquatch is said to be a hairy, upright, walking, ape-like creature that dwells in the wilderness and leaves footprints. They are strongly associated with the North America, especially states like Minnesota, Oregon, Washington, and Canada. Sasquatch, also known as around the world in countries like Nepal, Russia, India, and the Himalayas. In various Native American tribes, they were called the Wendigo, the Yeho, and the Oma. Rougarou and Bokes. Now, I'm very sorry if I butchered that, but I mean, what's a stupid white person to do? The name is derived from Seaskak, literally meaning...
Seaskak?
I don't know how to say these. Literally meaning wild men. In the Native American Salish language, is specifically used to describe a creature found in the Pacific Northwest of the United States and in southern Canada, so right near our neck of the woods. Sasquatch has been described as a large, muscular, ape-like creature, roughly 6 to 9 feet tall, covered in hair, described as black, dark brown, or dark reddish. They have enormous feet as large as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. Sizes will vary upon age and gender. So, let's not think of Bigfoot as just one giant hairy in the Hendersons.
Meatball.
Harry and the Meatball. Harry and the Hendersons. There are female, male, babies, adolescents, elders. They are every shape and size. The largest reporting of a Bigfoot foot cast that I could find was 15.6 inches long, and they figured that Sasquatch weighed about 2,000 pounds.
Wow, 2,000 pounds. And they can get bigger.
So far we have big, hairy, large feet, big hands. This is either the goofiest motherfucker you've ever met, or he's hanging brain.
All I can think of is Chewbacca from the movie Star Wars.
I mean, hey.
Maybe he's a Sasquatch.
He's not. He's a Wookiee. And how dare you? They're very different. They live on completely different planets.
But maybe they're
God.
interstellar. Maybe we just call them Bigfoots and they're actually Wookiees.
Oh my God.
Coming from Tatooine.
If that was ever proven, first of all, you Googled on your phone right now about Wookiees, didn't you?
No. I was trying to find this meme that I've seen.
Oh.
That it's about Sasquatch. I just seen it today and I laughed my ass off. So it's this cartoon drawing and you'll have to post it to your Instagram and shit when I find it. It's this guy hunting in the woods and he is carrying a rifle or whatever, and it's just a picture, so you just get the picture that he's walking in the woods and he comes up to a Sasquatch. And this guy is like 2 feet tall, but his fucking feet are like 3 feet long. And the caption says, "I thought you'd be taller."
Jesus Christ.
I thought it was funny.
I gave you a laugh. So, that's a general description of him. Now, we've all seen, the Patty film, the famous one where, it's walking away in the woods. It's kind of
Like
grainy.
from the 70s?
Yeah, the Patty. They call that Sasquatch Patty. And there's the Independence Day movie not the movie with Will Smith. The Independence Day footage, which a couple shot in the woods that shows a female, which they assume is a female Sasquatch, carrying a cub or a baby throughout the woods. So we've all seen the videos, we've all seen it. They're never great. They're always kind of this lower quality, either because of the time that it was filmed or people are panicking. Have you ever tried to get a picture of your child taking its first steps? Looks like shit. So I give credit to anyone who gets any kind of footage, because if you're panicking in the woods and trying to get your fucking camera out, shit's gonna be blurry, alright? Was it Dane Cook that... No, what comedian was it that was like, maybe Bigfoot's just blurry? Has anyone ever thought of that? Like, Bigfoot's fucking blurry, man. So, you have the picture in your head, right? Great. And you can picture their gait. They swing their arms really wide, not like how a human walks, where usually humans are holding their arms up a little bit, and they have a very large gait. So,
I've seen a lot of documentaries. I know exactly what you're talking about.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
It's exactly. So, where did this legend begin? Now, obviously, we've heard, that Sasquatch goes back, further back into even the 1500s, where you hear legends of Native Americans talking about the big hairy man, or, whatever.
Cave drawings too, right?
Cave drawings, yeah, everything. So it goes way, 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 way back. But in modern times, we're going to focus on where did the North America craze start with Bigfoot. In 1958, a journalist named Andrew Gonzoli of the Humboldt Times highlighted a fun and dubious letter from a reader about loggers in Northern California who discovered mysteriously large footprints. In his article, he wrote, "Maybe we have a relative of the abominable snowman of the Himalayas." His column was published on September 21st, 1958, alongside a published copy of the letter. When he published it, Gonzoli stated that he simply thought that the mysterious footprints made a good Sunday morning story, but to his surprise, it really fascinated his readers. In response, Gonzoli and fellow Humboldt Times journalist Betty Allen published follow-up articles about the footprints, reporting the name loggers had given to the so-called creature who left the tracks, Bigfoot.
Big motherfucking foot!
And so the legend was born. People later go back and dig through old newspapers and stuff to find scattered reports of a wild man here and a wild man there. But it doesn't collate until the general discussion until the 1950s. And the article was in 1958. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the story was published, it made big hype, and that's where they believe 60 years ago that this kind of craze in America was born.
Do you think that was just because, that's when the newspaper and stuff was starting to come out? I mean, obviously newspaper's been around before, but, where'd you say this one was published? New York Times?
Humboldt Times,
Humboldt
California.
Times? So, a larger publishing company that could reach more people, so more people were aware, and more people now were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it could bring out the crazies who just want to jump on a hype, or it could have just brought awareness to people who had found similar things and were like, well, shit, I've seen that too.
I've seen that guy. I thought he was just Uncle Joe over there naked, running through the woods.
So yeah, it's definitely probably a mixture of both, but I would assume that people were just trying to report what they also had found.
Okay.
So, Bigfoot hunting.
So when you say Bigfoot hunting, you're not go out in the woods and try and shoot a Bigfoot. You're just trying to discover Bigfoot.
Well, there's both, sadly. So the craze really, really kicked up in the 90s and then the 2000s. And in the 2000s, we see a lot of these TV shows start to come out. Now, Across the United States, there are hundreds of Bigfoot research groups. Actually, they're Bigfoot research groups, or they consider themselves cryptozoologists, which is what our group that we met with.
What's the definition of a
Cryptozoologist.
or a cryptozoologist? But you said the other people are into cryptic. What does that actually mean?
Cryptic is the creatures of cryptozoology. So cryptozoology is a pseudoscience and subculture that aims to prove the existence of entities from the folklore record, such as Bigfoot. You can also have the Loch Ness Monster, other creatures. So it's kind of a...
So essentially it's like a mythical creature study?
Kind of, yeah. With not putting... That kind of has a stigmatism on it, like that it's all make-believe, but it's the science of studying entities. I think it could apply to a lot of different things.
Okay.
But cryptid, that is the individual creature. The zoology part is the study of.
Yep.
And they get into that more into our next episode.
Okay.
So, the craze kicks up. We get several shows and documentaries such as Finding Bigfoot, Bigfoot Hunters, Discovering Bigfoot, and the Sasquatch Odyssey. Those shows follow cryptozoologists and hobbyists who are all seeking to prove the existence of Bigfoots. Now let's find the difference. There's people who really want to find or prove that this creature exists and that they're around and get them get the notoriety that they deserve. And there's people who just want to find, shoot, kill, and put on display for an animal or of this
like
animal.
Mount on their wall or in a
just to show
science museum.
Well, it's just the glory of it. And the difference between groups like that, those masculine kind of hunting groups, and the women that we met is that they just want to see the creature and know for themselves and to be able to share their experiences. And those people want
So do these people...
the body, I guess.
That try and discover Bigfoot? I'll try and change the name for you. I'm sure you'll get more into it next week, but how do they prove? Or is it just for themselves, or do they have cameras and...
Oh, they definitely want to record it. I mean, it's not just like, we have nothing to record this or no evidence to find. It's just, they don't necessarily need to take that creature with them to prove it. So they definitely have cameras, they have recording devices, they have things like that. They want to prove it.
So if someone was to find Bigfoot, they'd try and record it, try and speak with them and have a conversation.
Connect,
And
I'm just trying to show the difference between those people who will just take their evidence and come back and show others, and the people who want to go out there and flop their dick on the table, shoot this thing, and drag it back home with them so that they can put it on display and become these amazing.
I guess essentially both ways are cool. I can respect people that want to essentially trophy hunt, because what more evidence would you have if you had a real life being or thing, cryptic, that you happen to shoot? I'm sorry if it seems bad to say. That's a lot of evidence also. I don't think they're out just for the joy, I'm going to go and shoot a Bigfoot. I think it's more for the research. I know that, what you're saying.
There's some groups out there that are like that.
Sure, there's always bad groups out there. But I think most of them probably don't have a bad intention of that. I understand the group that you guys interviewed doesn't believe in that, and they want to get other forms of research. But it's hard to throw hard evidence on the table when you just have a video, which nowadays you could make a video of anything with a computer. But if you had the real life, either found a Bigfoot dead or found a Bigfoot, now I shot it and now I have 1,000% proof that they exist. I can understand both sides, and I'm not saying one way or the other that either is better. I'm just saying that some of the groups that you're probably referring to might just have a bad name, but that is also a good way to provide evidence. Right, they all have the same end goal.
They want
to get rich and famous and find Bigfoot.
Not to get rich and famous. I don't think this group has that.
No, I'm not talking in your group. I'm just saying in general.
Right. They want to prove what they know in their heart to be true.
Yeah.
And they want to do it by any means necessary.
Okay.
I think that is definitely the easy way out, and you could shoot it and drag it out. I'm not saying that as 100% the wrong way. That's how we discovered great apes, things like that. But I do think if you, like this group who wants to understand and gain the trust of a creature and things like that, that maybe both methods could achieve the same goal. One just might take longer.
Right. I think that the group that you interview next week definitely is trying to get further along, prove evidence that they exist, plus say, hey, we made contact with them. Let's anticipate a future date when maybe they're going to come back and share more with us.
Right.
Where the one just wants the instant fame and the notoriety, like you were saying, of I killed a Bigfoot, I'm going to be rich and famous, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Exactly.
There's a good and an evil in both sides.
Right. And there's two very different vibes. Even when I've only been to one convention or, day dedicated to it. You can tell the difference between the groups. There's one group that just wants to educate the public, and then there's another group that wants to drag 40 people out into the woods and by any means necessary, find it. Whether they're messy as fuck, whether they actually know all the things. There's two very different groups. But I think both would achieve the same end result. One just might take more time.
So I was at that Bigfoot festival with you, or Bigfoot Days, whatever they call it. What made you seek out this group next week? Is it that they were very friendly and informational? or what brought you to want to interview them?
And I'm not here to hate on like any other group, but they just seem to take it more seriously and maybe in a more, I don't know.
There was other groups there
were
that
more
were kind of
approachable.
more. Were there other groups
yeah.
there that were more kind of just like
They were
cocky about it?
Yeah, maybe showboating is the right word.
Sure.
They had fun t-shirts and a crazy booth, but no substance to it. This group had substance. They wanted to talk to you. They had photos. They had information. The other groups just seemed to want to draw you in, tell you one crazy story that had no substance and just seemed flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this seemed like a group of people who actually spend time in the woods and put in the work in the hours, where the other groups didn't necessarily look like they actually get their hands dirty.
Now, Amanda, you know what they say. Don't judge a book by its covers.
Was it?
I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time.
I know. So, it is very scientific, this research. It's not just, walking out of the woods and hoping that one runs into you. There's various techniques, there's various recording devices, there's various ways to collect evidence, but all of the, the research and the steps into how they study Bigfoot are based around Bigfoot's behaviors, and I'm saying that with quotation marks.
Okay.
So, there's a list of known behaviors for a Sasquatch, and this is what these groups focus their research on. So, these behaviors include, but are not limited to, grunting, gurgling, or howling noises. Many believers say that although they have not seen the creature, they have heard the noises of them in the woods, and these noises are nothing, they can't be compared to any animal that you've ever heard. Believers have recorded these noises in the United States. There's
Do you have
a wide
any?
variety of them. Yeah, I will play them.
Okay, I was going to ask if you have some audio so I can hear.
Yeah.
Maybe I've heard them before. Maybe I thought it was my wife snoring. I don't know. That sounded like a bear to me.
I'm just...
That sounded like a dog. Sound like a jaguar.
Anyways, a lot of them are grunts, ape-like noises, so and then there's a lot of howls. So right now what the belief is that they have different dialects for communicating either between each other or when they're angry or they're being defensive, things like that. Now I've seen videos where a guy has been staked out and all of a sudden something is screaming next to him, and it sounds like, in my opinion, what like a gorilla would sound like if he was, or not even, what's the big ape? Like the famous movie.
King Kong?
King Kong! Yeah, like that big...
So just like a silverback ape.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like in the documentary.
Or, I'm sorry, I said silverback ape. I meant like a silverback gorilla.
Silverback gorilla, exactly. Other behaviors that they have, knocking on trees. So you see a lot of these hunters go out, they start... Yes, thank you so much for rattling. They'll bang on trees to communicate between each other, almost, some believe, like Morse code in a way. Either that or they're trying to show their distance from one another, so they, can hear how far away the echo is, things like that. Yeah, these hunters will go out and just start banging on trees. I saw one of a group that we're familiar with where they just took literally a fucking wiffle ball bat and started banging on trees, and they looked like fucking idiots. But they think that hitting the tree will, get some knocking back. Now I know that the ladies that we've interviewed have taken branches before and knocked on trees, and they've received knocks back. So, it's a friendly form of communication. Throwing rocks. A lot of researchers will state that when you're in the presence or in the area of Sasquatch, that they will chuck rocks at you, both in a playful manner, and you'll hear a story next week, which is really, really fascinating. These ladies' first encounter, or not first, but a first-hand story of how they've had rocks tossed at them. Now, I've heard everything from they'll throw rocks in an aggressive form, like get the hell out of here, you're too close to my family, or they'll do it in a playful fashion where maybe it's an adolescent Sasquatch that's tossing rocks to be like, hi, how are you? Or just to mess with the people. Stick structures. Now, stick structures are a big topic of conversation in the next episode. You'll see a lot of findings in the woods of maybe 4 to 5 branches that are crossed in kind of a teepee fashion or even bent over without breaking the stick. Most beliefs with these stick structures is that they're not necessarily like a form of shelter. They don't provide much barrier from the atmosphere or from the environment because they don't have like leaves on them or branches or thick
No canopy.
things. No canopy on them, thank you. But some people believe that they're more of a marker. You know, if somebody were to approach it, a Squatch were to approach it and see like, okay, now I know I'm in this area, you know, it kind
Like
of
a
mapping.
landmark.
Like a landmark, exactly. So, and we've had family members that have had these in their backyard and they're kind of anomalies and they're just kind of baffled as to why they're there. Now, the SasquatchHERS it's kind of interesting because in next week's episode you'll hear they each kind of have their own opinion about what it could possibly mean. But between the 3 of them, they've all been inside of various stick structures and have all stated that they have a certain energy to them and feel very important, I guess I'll say. So they're definitely not an accident, and I have watched, and you can go on YouTube and type them in, but I have watched videos where they're definitely not something that naturally occurs in the woods. You don't get these branches falling on each other and forming perfect, teepees or things like that, and
right.
The angles that they fall. A lot of them, the branches are brought from separate places even, so they don't have a root that they came from. The trunk is nowhere nearby, so it's definitely been brought to an area. Discovery Channel group said that they thought that stick structures were a warning of humans camping out in that area. Like a lot of the researchers, maybe they'll hang out in a certain area and camp and try to catch a squatch. And they feel like those shelters or those stick structures were being built to like warn others, like don't go near here. But I only saw one incident of that. Bending trees or breaking trees. So you'll see a lot of markers, I guess you could call them, where either a perfectly healthy tree or almost dead tree is snapped in the middle without any explanation as to why it would break. It could be in a really thick forested area where, we can see up north when there's been a big wind gust or a big storm, and you'll get a group of trees that will break. Maybe not in the exact same area, but you'll see a pattern where there's a lot of broken in a certain area. But these trees will either be snapped in half, requiring enormous strength to break in that area, or they'll be bent over to the ground without any breakage. And some feel that that's a sign that they're kind of making a map or a marker to other squatches. It could be playful, it could be something fun to do.
Now I'm scared because I've seen that by my deer stand.
Exactly. So at first, now after this interview, I watched a bunch of videos and stuff, and at first I was like, okay, the breaking tree thing doesn't stick with me because trees break with wind, especially dead trees. But in the videos, they make a really, really good point that trees will often blow over closer to the trunk in some incidences. Now you can get crosswinds, is that what we call them?
Sure.
But, harsh gusts of winds. But a lot of these areas is just one broken tree, and there's none broken around them, and you don't necessarily see that a lot. You'll get a good scattering.
Could be a weak tree, could be a Sasquatch, could be anything.
But they have had scientists out there or people who are, tree experts or whatever, and they've looked at a cluster of trees in the area and said, okay, 75% of these trees are dead. If there was a wind gust, a certain percentage of them should have broken, similar to this one, but you only have one broken tree. It's a far reach, but it's something that's there. And if you watch it, now me explaining it to you fuckers is not going to make you be like, oh, fuck, Sasquatch is real. You have to dive into it yourself and look at it a little bit, but it is interesting, especially the bending of the trees. So you can see photos where you'll get to a whole area that has these beautifully arched trees. And I'm not saying they're bent where they're a little bit lower to the ground, but they're arched, almost like somebody is creating, a design of some sort. And to the point where you can't do it with human arms. We're not strong enough or have the dexterity to slowly bend trees over. If someone's doing that, get a fucking job.
Maybe they do have a job and it's called professional tree bender.
Professionaltreebenders.net.
.org.
org. They're not a government. They're not a nonprofit.
That's .gov.
Okay, I meant nonprofit. They're not a nonprofit. But yeah, like I said, they could be a way to mark a trail or just something playful or cute. Yeah, other evidence are nestings, like nests that they find in the woods, which could be a mixture of bark, leaves, fallen branches. But I've seen like two completely different opinions. One is that Sasquatch sleeps in trees, which 2,000-pound ape is not sleeping in a tree. I don't know. I have a hard time buying into that one. But the nests are really, really cute and something that you would find with, again, silverbacks or different types of primates, where they're making little nests and they're sleeping in the ground with the rest of their friends or the babies. It's very, very cute.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of these behaviors are things that researchers will go into. So, a lot of the evidence you find are going to be audio recordings of howls, grunting, gurgling. You're going to find photos of stick structures, which a lot of the SasquatchHERS have, and they're very interesting to look at. If you please go to their website.
What is their website?
SasquatchHERS.com.
Is there a hyphen in between there?
Nope, it's just SasquatchHERS.com. Photos of stick structures, measurements of it. You'll see pictures of broken trees, things like that. A lot of the research is based around foot imprints or castings of footprints, which is interesting. There's a lot of science behind that.
Do they find most of those prints in the snow or even mud or anything?
Yeah, exactly. So Sasquatchers have, I know for sure, one photo online where it's a print in snow. You cannot cast in snow, and we did talk about that in that episode. I said, well, this is a beautiful picture of a footprint. Could you do that? And well, you can't heat up snow, it'll melt. So most of the castings are done in mud or grass or things like that, a more sturdy environment to do that. But the castings alone are really interesting to look at. Most of them have five toes. The impressions are very, very long. They have distinct features to it. Even some of them you can find like a wart type imprint on the heel or things like that. They're very unique and interesting. And the science behind them is that, well, scientists talk about how you can tell the weight distribution and how deep some of these imprints go, which is how they can estimate the weight or the height of the creature that did it. And you get a lot of haters online that are like, that's a bear. Well, I've seen them fucking bear print or bear whatever. They're not, what were the inches? Hold on, I have it on here. I've seen bear and other animals, the 15.6 inches long, up to 24 even in one report. That's not a fucking bear. It's not a bear.
I still think it's a Wookiee.
You still think it's a Wookiee? One last thing that people talk about is that Sasquatch has a distinct odor to him. Which, if anyone's ever been to the Como Zoo, that fucking gorilla smells like ass.
Don't compare Sasquatch to a gorilla.
I'm just saying, if the belief is that they are some form of cross between a primate and a human, which is a popular belief, it's not, I wouldn't say the most popular belief, but people say that when you're in the woods, if you can smell a very strong BO odor, that's what Sasquatch would smell like. So,
well, duh, they don't have showers. They don't have running water.
maybe to a female Squatch, that smells sexy as hell. Maybe they're like, damn.
Ooh, yeah. Get it.
What are you rubbing on your body? Sticks of mud?
Feces?
That's another thing that was interesting. I don't think I got to ask this in the next episode, and maybe I did, but there's no really common opinion on whether Bigfoot or Sasquatch is a carnivore or a herbivore.
There's a lot of ifs, like no one's ever found a dead body. No one's ever found
no one's
feces.
ever found a bone.
No one's ever found feces. No one's ever found any of that stuff.
Right. And they had an argument, and we'll get to it in the next episode, but
well, don't spoil.
I don't want to, but they did ask a very simple question. Have you ever found a bear carcass, bare bones?
Well,
in the wild?
Me personally, no, but I'm sure they've been found before.
I know, but listen to it, because the way that they state it and some of their facts that they present is that animals find their own way of disposing of their own bodies. Humans are not the only creatures that take their dead and bury them and dispose of the remains. We're not the only creatures that do that. Orcas will bury their dead deep down into caves of the ocean.
Sure. But I'm not saying anything. I'll listen next week. But we've also proven that. We found those. Guaranteed
Right.
we found bear carcasses. So if Sasquatches are very popular or populated, you think we would have found one by now, but the world's very big. We have yet to discover a lot of the rainforests or junk like that.
Junk.
Information like that. So maybe they hide in caves. Bears hide in caves. Maybe they're around. Who knows?
Absolutely no idea.
We will never know until we know.
Until we know.
You know, you should put that quote on the wall. We will never know until we know.
So I'm going to say with everything in our life, you'd be like, did you do the dishes today? And I said, we will never know until we know.
Hey, if the fish aren't here, they're somewhere else or
Travis's
deeper.
famous fishing quote. If the fish aren't here, they're either deeper or somewhere else. There was a man in 1976 whose intent was to prove the existence of this creature. He turned in a hair and tissue sample to the FBI. They did do testing on it and concluded that it was from the deer family. So I think a lot of these things will bring out people who just desperately will, they want to believe in it. I feel for these people. Will you find something in the woods? If I found a clump of hair I didn't recognize, I'd be like, here it is. I'm giving it to the FBI. Again, I really wanted to go into a bunch of different things, but we get into that next week, so I'm going to save it. All in all, they're a super fascinating group. They work really hard on what they do. They seem like really great friends, which I enjoyed. And I'm just excited for the episode to come out. You've heard the episode, and I know you liked it, so what did you think of it?
I thought it was fantastic. I laughed. I was very intrigued. I wanted to be there to ask my own questions. Like, they have a lot of information, and the whole time I was listening, I was like, man, these girls know a lot. They have a lot of good information. I want to see these pictures, and I couldn't.
You couldn't. Well, now you just sound bitter.
Well,
it's called SasquatchHERS, not SasquatchHERS and some guy's husband.
I could have put makeup on.
You make a beautiful woman. So, yes, tune in next week for the SasquatchHERS episode. And again, visit their website, SasquatchHERS.com. I'm really thankful to Stephanie, Katie, and Cindy who came all the way out to interview with us. And I look forward to meeting you guys again. We'll see you next week, guys.
Hold the phone.
Oh.
Do you have a fuck you of the week?
Oh, shit. No, I've actually had a really great week. I don't have a fuck you of the week.
All right, well, this is your show, and that's your staple, so you need to come up with one. I will go first, then you have to go second.
Okay.
My fuck you of the week is probably like one of my most common fuck yous of the week. Fuck you, Amanda, for not inviting me to the next week's episode of the interview of the SasquatchHERS. I'm really mad.
Okay.
So fuck you.
Well, fuck you. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't do that. If I can go back in time, I would not change my decision. I would like to say, I have one, but it's from a few months ago, so I'm going to say it now. I would like to say fuck you to another Sasquatch research group that we reached out to for an interview. They were totally open, but then had to be complete creepers and state that they would only meet with us at 7 p.m. at night inside their apartment on a Sunday. And were completely unflexible with us and just gave us the creepiest fuck off vibes I've ever had in my life. And it was the best decision of my life to not go to that apartment at 7 o'clock at night. So, fuck you guys. And that's it. Otherwise, I've had a great week. I'm not angry. I feel happy.
Well, good. I'm glad you got that off your chest, because it seems like that was built up for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I hold things in real deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you do. But anyway.
Well, I'm excited for you guys to join us next week with the SasquatchHERS, and yeah, that's all I have.
You guys will not hear my beautiful voice next week, so you get a break.
God.
Maybe if I'm still lucky enough to be part of this, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
That's a warning to you all.
Unfollow by the end of 2 week time. Ready, go.
No, hey, we always forget. Please follow us on social media at LadyLikePod. That's on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you do your socializing. And you can also go to our website or ladylikepod.com, or you can email us at ladylikepod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear all of it. Even if you want to just email me a fuck you of the week, I don't care. Tell me.
And if you want to email me to ask Travis a question, you can do that at LadyLikePod, and they will get back to me.
All right, sounds good. Bye, honey.
Bye.